What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Shopper channel, coming to you with another edition of Lindy's Leans, Lights, and Locks NBA Playoff Edition. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me. It goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. It is Wednesday, May 1st. Yes, we're going to start May off here. Hopefully the same way. We've got Leans, Likes, Locks. This is how I do it on 2 games or fewer. If there's just one coming up down the pipeline, this is what you can get used to. Lean, Like, Lock. I'm giving you a play I'm thinking about betting that I haven't pulled the trigger on. So it's basically my third favorite play unless I just jam a bunch of them and show them to you. Oh, like, that is something that's generally going to be around the half unit number still, but sometimes might be a little bit less if I'm going for a long shot play. There's actually one long shot play I'm really intrigued by in that Boston game. I'll talk about it here in a second, but first thing I wanted to throw out for you right from the get-go here, and then the locks, of course. Those are the half unit or a unit. Again, I generally downgrade the locks a little bit compared to other spots because it's only 2 games. Not a lot of surface area for the books to cover. Wanted to be very, very sharp about making sure that I'm picking the right numbers for you and not just telling you, oh, this is a lock, this is a full unit send. However, I have a full unit send on this page, so it is what it is. Anyway, and that's also in the Boston game. Going to be fun stuff, but before we get going, promo code DINGER, that is something we have going right now. Dinger Tuesday. Yeah, I know it's Wednesday. Totally aware that it's Wednesday, but your boy picked Josh Naylor to hit a home run, and as such, we have going live for you right now, this second. You can sign up for Odd Shopper down below for $1. Yes, $1 for your first week. You want to try out anything? You want to come troll me in the chat? I do not care. Come sign up for Odd Shopper. Come kick it. And yes, get my premium betting card every single Monday through Friday. Get all of the tools. Get all of the greatness over at Odd Shopper for the low price of $1 using promo code DINGER, D-I-N-G-E-R. Sign up at the link below. And now, NBA time, to the picks we go. The game that I have the most interest in, I've had in a long time for betting an individual game. Actually, that's not true. Wendell Carter Jr. made me very, 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 very happy covering that PRA for the people, having an absolute smash of a game. And again, we've had a really good playoffs in the NBA streets, 6-2 on locks, and obviously forced into at least one of these little locks. Wendell Carter Jr., 6 points. Need 2 more points from him in the last 3 minutes. Looks like he's going to close out this basketball game, 97-95 here, Cleveland, Orlando. So I'm going to be sweating that one in the corner of my screen. But as such, let's talk about tomorrow. Miami taking on Boston. Huge injury news there. And yes, we've been playing basketball, if you're Miami, without Jimmy Butler. You've been playing basketball without Terry Rozier. Let's add Jaime Jaquez out with a hip strain. Oh boy, things were tough before. Now they are somehow even tougher. Again, 13.5-point dogs heading into Boston. The only reason that this game is getting this much respect is Eric Spoelstra is an absolute dog. He's one of the best coaches in the entire National Basketball Association. If you had Doc Rivers coaching this team, 17 and a half real quick. Again, Eric Spoelstra gets a lot of respect, but they play to what it takes to try to win a game. They've been upping the variance, trying to shoot more threes. Bam Adebayo made a 3 the other game, for the love of God. We're talking about a Boston team that without Kristaps Porzingis, yeah, I guess you buried the lead. Kristaps Porzingis will not be playing basketball here in this spot, but Jaime Jaquez, we're talking about replacing him with like a Delon Wright or anything here. You still have Tatum, you still have Brown, you still have all these other guys going full send mode on the other side. So Boston, yeah, we'll get there. But let's start with the lean here. And this is the big long shot that I was alluding to. It's a lean as it stands right now. I think Al Horford is pretty live for a double-double. We saw massive minutes. Once Kristaps Porzingis ended up hurting his foot, ends up being right calf tightness / there was a verb for it. Not a verb. It's an adjective describing it that I can't remember exactly what the injury was. Just know he's not playing basketball on Wednesday, so that's the thing I'm concerned about giving you analysis the night before. But Al Horford got ramped up to 34 minutes, infinity minutes in that second half. Now, Luke Cornett has been serviceable, and obviously you change your game plan to account for the fact that, hey, we're going to be playing without Kristaps Porzingis, maybe not just for this series, but for the foreseeable future, potentially all the way till the NBA Finals. I'd be shocked based on what I heard about the injury today if you didn't have Porzingis back before then. But that's a conversation for a different day. If you're looking at the futures market, I didn't see anything. Feels like a spot that's pretty efficient as it stands still, where Boston is rightfully heavily favored. But Al Horford, friends, this is a guy that you have to take all of his baseline rates, averaging 26 minutes per game, and you got to just ramp them up because it's playoff time, baby. You're going to see 30 32, 34, 36. The range of outcomes is somewhere in that 30s range. And that should freak you out a little bit because Al Horford shouldn't have to play that many minutes come this time of season, but basically been able to have him on ice because of how healthy Porzingis had stayed until this point. Played 26, 23, 22 minutes, 34. Didn't have a lot of usage, just 7 points, 8 rebounds, of course, to ruin my under 6.5 rebounds that I bet on my own. But that is a conversation. Well, it's not even a conversation we're going to have. We're going to have this one. Al Horford is plus 475 at Bet Rivers, which I don't have access to, but a lot of you might. Al Horford needs to be getting more respect than that, I think. Now, I'm probably going to be adding it to the card, even if it's just a quarter unit. I feel as though that's one of those things that if it happened and you saw the 36 minutes for him and only 12 for Luke Cornett in the backup center role, you'd feel like kicking yourself at a certain point. So for me right now, in this specific spot, I think you need to be betting Al Horford. But there's a play that I like more, half unit play. Peyton Pritchard, this is obviously one of the more normal plays that we got going here. Plus 105 on DK. It is even money or better. Even money or better that's grading out for me for him to hit the over of 6.5 points. One of the small, I think, side notes to the entire game, because the Porzingis injury put things into disarray, is Pritchard could play in like small ball type lineups that I think in this series specifically, Bam Adebayo ends up on the floor a lot. And Derek White went completely ballistic there in game 4. He is fantastic. He's been a phenomenal ad the last 2 seasons now, because getting acquired from San Antonio at the deadline has been awesome in green and white. It's just green and white. I don't know. I thought it was going to be something else. Just been great in green. There you go. That had alliteration to it. That's what I was looking for. But Pritchard, friends, over 6.5 points. We're seeing a lot of minutes for him in these kind of spots. We saw 24, again, blowout run, 20 there. And that was not really blowout run. They lost and it was a whole thing, but he still got to 20 minutes in a competitive spot. 25 in game 3, blowout. And then the last one out, 18 minutes, but kind of a weird different rotations. You had Jaime Jaquez get dinged up. You saw Delon Wright back into the mix. I think 20, 22 minutes is about what you're looking for Pritchard, but he's gone over this number now in 2 of the 4 games this series. I don't care about stuff like that, but I do care about this being plus money for something that in the event that there's a blowout, I'm getting all of that run for Pritchard where he is going to be the main facilitator. You also have seen him mixed in early in the first quarter now. These rotations are starting to involve Peyton Pritchard pretty regularly here. I'm not sure if this continues into further series, but you got to have Pritchard minutes there if Al Horford can't play the 34-36 routinely here. So again, I know different positions, ways that they can play Tatum at the 5. They don't want to, but Cornett, Hauser, all of these guys, all chips on the table here. Peyton Pritchard, 6.5 points. I think for this series, I feel pretty good about that number, half unit play for me. But my lock, my favorite play from Wednesday, bar none. I'm 3-1 now backing Boston. Been going on TV, SiriusXM, firing it up absolutely everywhere for the people. I don't see any way, shape, or form that Boston, even without Porzingis, doesn't handle business at home in Game 5 against Miami. 13.5. Jaime Jaquez is a positive basketball player for you, and now you're making even more strenuous choices here as Eric Spoelstra, figuring out what to do with Haywood Highsmith, who I think gets the larger share of the minutes. Duncan Robinson has to show up on the floor. Patty Mills, I think, has to show up on the floor now. They have nobody else there. It's centers, Orlando Robinson, Thomas Bryant. Those are not the guys who are going to be filling these kind of minutes for Jaime Jaquez. You got to go to small ball lineups, and that is a stone cold disaster for them. I'm sure they're going to try to up the variance and knock threes and do exactly what they did in game 2. But guess what? You're not going to shoot over 50% from 3 the next time around here. Boston's ready. Just lay the 13.5 here. This is series you're already going to be up if you've been following me and tailing me on each one of these. 3-1 on the Boston side. Think we make it 4-1. I have this closer to 16.5 because this is the best basketball team in the association when healthy. And obviously Porzingis definitely throws a wrench into it, but not enough for me to look at Miami as a threat in this spot. Back Boston minus 13.5. Also sign up for BetMGM down at the link below. First bet safety net up to $1,500. What does that mean? You can go down to the link below. You can sign up for BetMGM if you have DraftKings FanDuel. Awesome book to add to the fray for you. And your first bet, whether it's $20, $50, $100, whatever you bet on that first wager, up to $1,500 comes back to you in bonus bets. So check it out, friends. If your first bet loses, you get that back in bonus bets. Only if you're 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the picks we go. Dallas and LAC. This is going to be epic. Now, it sucks to have Kawhi out. It's absolutely atrocious, but we saw Paul George go scorched earth in that first half. We saw Luka Doncic pretty disabled, and I don't mean like he's not going to be efficient walking out on the floor, but he was really dinged up, slow moving on defense, not really all there. Kyrie Irving had to carry a lot of that second half for the Dallas Mavericks in come from behind mode. They were down 30 plus early. They end up cutting it back, and then the Clippers figured out a way to win. So they've each split 1-1 at home, and now game 5. This will be really fun to watch. But actually, I want to be focusing a little bit in on the assist rates for a couple of these specific players. Now, first off, interesting way that they went to a closing rotation where Russell Westbrook, 22 minutes was more than I was expecting. Now, he had no ball handling duties because James Harden played awesome, played a ton. Paul George was making everything. But that does not continue necessarily into the next game. You have to play to what is working for you. And James Harden was working 12 for 17 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3. He's had an amazing series for the Clippers, been the best player on the floor for the Clippers, other than the first half of game 4. That was definitely Paul George, where we saw him go completely ballistic, finished with 33 points, 33, 6, and 8. Phenomenal performance. But overall, for the 4 games, James Harden has been your go-to guy. And I think that freaks me out of the lean here. But Russell Westbrook, if you gave me 22 minutes of him again, you have to look at baseline rates. You have to basically also look on the other side where creating opportunities. I know Dallas for the last month and a half of the season had the number 1 starting unit according to defensive rating. But I think the assist opportunities will be there for Russell Westbrook in the second unit alongside Powell, alongside Mann, who stays out on the floor at times. And then Russell Westbrook, assist rate on the season, 28.5%, 93rd percentile in the NBA, 22.5 minutes per game. That's basically his average. So if Dallas, which I don't find to be all that difficult on the perimeter with Luka Doncic and Kyrie, if there's going to be opportunities here in this spot, I think Russell Westbrook is at an advantageous number considering he averages 4.4 assists per game. But a little worried he's out there to try hard, to play his intense defense and do all of that. And come playoff time, James Harden ends up handling the ball ad nauseum. And that's where we get to the like here. I think this is borderline lock territory, but as such, I don't have a great feel for this game. This entire series has just been back and forth. And Kawhi, you take him off the floor and you run all the baseline rates. I have no idea how they opened at 7.5 assists for James Harden. I know he only had 7, but I don't expect him to shoot the ball this efficiently. I expect Dallas to try to hone in on what James Harden got away with, because Paul George, he's probably going to get his a little bit bigger, a little bit of an opportunity for him to be that secondary guy. And well, PJ Washington will be guarding him a lot more, I think, this time around. I mean, he guarded him quite a bit throughout that entire second half and was pretty effective. But we saw it go to James Harden. But James Harden, 12 for 17, 7 for 13, 6 for 14. Like, pretty efficient shooting on his side of things. The assist rate I expect to come up. 8, 8, 5, 7. This opens at 7.5. Pretty juice here at -130, and yet I do not care. -130, -135 at DK is the best available line here now. That is something that you want to be partaking in. Half unit play, so identical to Pritchard there. Kind of weird to have Pritchard as secondary unit guy. Hey, I'll take whatever the value is, but that being said, I have no lock for you in this one. I think Westbrook, if you really wanted it, I think that does grade out well. But because I'm already on Harden over 7.5 assists, kind of hoping that Russell Westbrook doesn't play as much, that James Harden takes over all the ball handling duties. So rather than incorporate both plays, I'm just going to the Harden side because I think it's the stronger play. I think he's going to hit 9, 10, a large majority of the time at home in this spot. Lower total than most, but again, I feel pretty confident in saying James Harden, best player of this series for the Clippers by far so far. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks in the NBA Streets. Head to the comment section below. Let me know if there's anything that you see on the NBA board that you want to add to your card that maybe I should be adding to my card. Always like to hear from you. Hit me up on X at Eric Lindquist. Thank you, producer Jacob. Let's get that from 6-2 to 7-2 here in the Lock Streets for the NBA playoffs. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA Streets on Wednesday.